too, you know? They don't appreciate how good the memes used to be, right? They don't appreciate where this thing started and how dry it is now. I mean, you know, don't get me wrong. I spend the majority of time, by a long stretch, that I'm on my phone is spent looking at memes, okay? I got, you know, bare sources, all right? I got Instagram, I got my Reddit. Obviously, people are messaging me directly in every goddamn messaging platform there is. Maybe you've got your own. You know, some people go straight to the Imgur source, and some people are on 4chan, you know? They all come from somewhere, and it's beautiful, and it's, like I say, the majority of time spent on my phone. I wonder if that can be measured by the iPhone. I know that does everything else, but memes, you know, memes per hour, memes per session is what I'd like to know. And they've completely dedicated all that time and all that battery power and all that storage space. You know, you get smarter about it eventually. You don't have to save them all, but the best ones, you know, they still appear in your photo library, so that a year later, when Facebook's like, hey, remember when you were drinking illegally at 17, but also just a year ago you were doing this, and it's a franking meme that you've shared. But the thing is, guys, like, it used to be way better. And those of us who were around when the internet started and were of my exact age demographic, which means, of course, that they experienced the best internet that there was, aka the internet that I experienced, will know that, you know, from humble beginnings. Do you remember Rage comics? Do you remember black and white drawings of like stick figures, but then you'd copy and paste on these mimetic little faces that you're like, oh, I recognize this little bit of information. This is the guy with the angry face. And he tells me that the reaction of the person in the comic is rageful. But also it's funny because I've seen it before. You know, now that I think about it, seeing those kind of faces through those different stages of emotions like that is like they, you know, give people to help out with those on the autism spectrum. You know, it's all of those faces in a row to help you identify emotions. Rage comics was sort of like that, right? And these just incredibly simplistic, monochromatic clip art, I mean, not even that, like paint level nonsenses. But they'd always, you know, the predictability of the format and the recognizability of the faces that was the meme, right? That's why they were, and you somehow could see so many of them, and yet they weren't being produced in such incredible volume that you could become sick of them, right? And so easily were they made and reproduced that if you saw one, it was probably fresh and new and exciting. That's all right. The other thing is, you know, it's a very short comic strip kind of idea. There's not a lot of political agenda in there, right? And there's not a lot of, there's a value being added to the social conversation from these memes. Comedic purposes only. And then I feel like they exploded out into the world of the best ones are when they've got like, they had the animal bang in the middle and this burst of color coming out from behind them and impact, you know, top and bottom text, perfect format. And the animals and the colors associate, they're the ones that are now mapped to an emotion. We're back to our autism spectrum chart. I suppose I should say Asperger's. And you've got this perfect mapping. The penguin is socially awkward, but that's because it's got the blue. But if it's the other way, it's red. And then, you know, you just tee up the text in the top and bottom. And it's great. And again, we're just talking about social situations. We're talking about, you know, observations on life. And I don't feel like things got too political. And when they did, it was like, that's what the meme was about, was this is a political meme and it has a message or whatever. And thereby like defining it was a minority of what was going out. Whereas I feel like now, because they started, memes in general, started in that like underground way that all things on the internet did. But this sort of tributary has led to, we all share images and text combined, and they contain information and a short bit of social knowledge or currency that you are, exchanging and putting out there and receiving and sharing, that ubiquitous word. And so now they encompass all of everything, and it's absolutely not just comedy. And I feel like the reason is that I go to friggin' scroll through memes is to laugh and to enjoy myself and to have, a little statement made by a dumb little internet image on something about my life or my human experience. But instead, I feel like what now I find is that like this nugget of information could be just friggin' anything. It could just be, it could be genuine trivia. It could be something sincere. It could be genuine news, or it's kind of just commenting on the passing of life in such a way that, all of these things, all of these uses and applications of the meme are like, think of how many things I'm describing there. It's just like covering the exchange of all information. And so, you end up describing such a general state of life that you end up occupying the space that real like small talk issues occupy. And I'm sort of beginning to feel like seeing memes has kind of replaced water cooler kind of talk. Because you see a joke smashed out so many times at this stage. And meme to meme, it's like a slightly different version of it. And that's exactly what happens like when you're hanging out with people from work or, people you don't know that well, right? The information that you share is like, hey, here's a crappy little joke we can all relate to, right? We all know the punchline to this one, so I can softball it up. And for that reason, you make a judgment about the people who roll those kind of like small talk jokes or observations into general conversation. And me personally, I say, keep away from me. We're not going to be any closer friends than this, because I can't trust you to have an interesting or engaging conversation. But here I am on my phone, like I say, scrolling through these things, and I'm just doing it. I'm just like, give me another hour of this. Give me another hour of white hot pixels straight into my eyeballs that, again, are just like weak table chat at this stage. And in so doing, like I say, they cover all things from, I feel like I hear about major news stories like the Queen passing away. I'm sure I heard a joke about it first. Or maybe I didn't even. Like I saw something that looked like a meme, like I say, text at the top, image at the bottom. But it's not a joke. It's just like the Queen has passed away and we'll miss her. And she'll be, whatever. Long may she reign. And you take that in and you're like, oh, ha ha ha. This is a joke about the Queen dying, because there is a whole through line of memes about the Queen not dying. So here's the opposite, I guess. And then how do you ascertain that that's real information until you kind of see, the BBC coming in, they're like, actually not JK, she is dead, so what are you going to do? And either way, I heard about it first, not from the BBC, but from like Reddit or something, and I see it in this format that's like, how do I take this seriously? And that's, there's that moment you're with people you don't really know, and someone will be like, oh, Queen died. Oof. Charlie's going to be, tough day on the job for him. And you're like, yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely. And it passes you like that kind of information. You're like, good. Yeah, good one. Shut up now. And so the drama or the importance or indeed the context of what you're being told kind of gets lost and washed up in that meme format. But really, the water cooler talk and the office chat that I hate the most is usually related to what time of year it is, right? It's important to know, especially in a corporate context, what quarter you're in and what day of the week it is and so on, because you're meeting people, things, deadlines, all of that. And so it's important to be organized around time in a corporate context, all good, not questioning that. My thing is, when you're in the office, or even if you're in a remote working office context, working together context, and someone's like, oh, leaves are starting to turn, oh, the nights are getting longer, just making observations on something that happens. Let me blow your mind here. This happens every 12 months. So we know it's coming. We know exactly when, to the week, I would suggest, this is going to happen. And yet we're talking about it. And that means we don't have anything real to talk about. And that means that, we don't really have, we're not close, you and I. We don't really have a reason to talk because we have nothing to talk about. And here we are talking about nothing. And so, like I say, in a social situation like that, you'd say, oh, yeah, I'm wearing my jacket a bit more, aren't I? And then I'd never talk to that person again. But now I'm seeing with increased frequency every year, I'm scrolling my phone and it's saying the same thing. It's like, oh, pumpkin spice season. Oh, crunchy leaf. And maybe they are just saying it in a kind of chat way, but maybe it's just, like I say, a shit little joke like that. It's not even funny. It's just like, oh. And you know that these things are coming because it's the middle of September and you've seen it in the calendar, and then you check Instagram and you're like, oh, God, yeah, doesn't that pumpkin spice thing come out in the autumn? Oh yeah, I feel like I saw a lot of memes about that last year. And then you open Instagram a few days later and they're making jokes about pumpkin spice, whatever the heck. And so now we're making jokes about the pumpkin spice, and now we're aware on an annual basis, not only that it's autumn, not only that it's pumpkin spice things are going to be generally available, but also that there are going to be memes about the pumpkin spice things. So they're like, beyond being just like hacky jokes that pad out Instagram meme pages offerings, they are now an expected part of the season. So one could, fall completely unable to leave the house because of agoraphobia and close all the curtains and windows and check Instagram and still get that autumn feeling because, they would just be able to tell from all of the memes, all of the quote unquote jokes, which again are just like repetitive, really predictable, hacky kind of joke servations on the day and the time of year, right? And they could be like, oh, I know exactly when and where it is and feel that feeling. And, the question I'm asking is who has lost their way more? Is it the memes that we beloved, that these beautiful little digital pieces of silver that would bring us joy in a perfectly encapsulated and shareable format. They've been sold out so much by the riches and spoils of broadband internet and Wi-Fi and beautiful iPhones and their large, glossy and bright screens. Have we grown so fat on those attributes that we've completely lost the ability to be funny and original with memes, and we're just lowering ourselves to the point of the lowest form of conversation? And is it that's the case and it's all like that, or is it just that there's so much going on that's just the majority and the funniness is still there underneath? But as I say, who's more the fool? Is it the memeverse for growing ever broader and less interesting, or is it me consuming this utter rubbish and knowing that October is going to be spooky season, knowing that I'm going to see jokes about whatever, Nightmare Before Christmas and Hocus Pocus, and my friend wore a slutty Halloween costume and I dressed like a witch, which is itself a ripoff of, Mean Girls. And it's just like, okay. So at this point, we're just like really, really, really recycling jokes, and memes themselves being recycled is part of the whole thing. You're supposed to be able to recognize the elements, or that's a characteristic of the meme, right? That you recognize the elements. But when you are doing it on an annual basis, what differentiates you from just greetings cards and novelty calendars, or whatever crappy mass-produced time delineating seasonal piece like that, right? Why produce that filler meme crap? Because what is its purpose? Because it's certainly not making me laugh. And then I realized that, but I am using it. Like I say, I'm locating myself in the year. Sometimes I don't even have to think about, is there a public holiday coming up? Or is there a national global event happening? Because the memes will let me know. Some dumb images on my Instagram feed will let me know. Like, there's obviously a day for absolutely goddamn everything now. And so now it's like, the first thing I saw when I got up this morning, checked my phone, it's National Hot Dog Day. I don't know what day of the week it is. I don't know when we are in the year. But another scroll tells me it's spoopy season. And that's what we're leading up to. So now I know we're in the middle of October, and so on. And I just feel like there's an overwhelming number of those moments in the calendar now, and the memes are catering for them. The calendars cannot keep up. So I'm just inundated with feeling a certain way about a certain point in the calendar, and that being, the way that I should be celebrating right now. I feel like all of October is dedicated to being spooky, and then as soon as that's done, are there any Thanksgiving memes? Maybe there will be, but we immediately then switch everything. Everything in the stores changes to Christmas stuff. Everything in the memes changes to Christmas stuff. There'll probably be some memes about, it's X amount of time until the end of the year, but I still haven't processed, and then enter year from a few years ago. Like, all of this makes time feel very short, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You are consuming content that, for lack of a better thing to say, is just telling you where you are in the year, in the same way that it did last year, in the same way that we all have done, in a way that we all hate. Like, nobody is like, I love idle chat, I love small talk, I love when we make observations on the weather and on the sports and on the people in the public eye. I love when that happens. So unsatisfied with it IRL, we completely transferred it to the memeverse. And then, we all sit, obviously generalizing, I sit glued to my phone, rapidly consuming the memeverse, letting it flow into my brain. And that's telling me where I am in a year, what's going on, who's winning The Bachelor, what kind of drink I should be ordering at Starbucks, what I should be wearing, just battering me over the head with that. So I'm just like, oh, okay, better get that done. And then as soon as I have spent the, October, like I say, being knocked over the head with pumpkin spiced everything in life, pumpkin spiced life, the moment October ends, we're on to the next thing. So because I was told to enjoy it the whole time, did I get to enjoy the spooky season? Did I do the things this autumn that I really want to do, that I enjoy about autumn? Did I enjoy the leaves? And do I like enjoying the leaves, or did the internet tell me to enjoy the leaves? Well, it doesn't matter, because it's over now, and now you should be enjoying Christmas and thinking about that. And everything feels so compressed, because I'm just going really from one event in the year, and each of those events expands out from its national holiday and its public holiday into this month-long affair, and then those month-long affairs butt up against one another. So you're just compressed between these. Maybe you have 12 events in the year, one for each month, and you just go bosh, 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 and you do all the memes in between, and you do all the preparation, and there's no cool down. So you're just endlessly crashing into the next event, the same ones that you did last year in the same order. And then all of time feels compressed, because you're on that incredibly short feedback loop. And then you start to see memes which are about feeling like you're in an incredibly short feedback loop. And like I say, all of time ends up feeling so incredibly compressed, and therefore you just want to kill a bit of time, and you open your phone. I'm struggling to see how to get out of that loop, except, as I say, to cut the memes off at the feet, return them to their glory days, have them just be for funny lols, and reduce padding memes in my life. Because when they tell me to enjoy stuff that hard, I don't how can I possibly be yeah, I'm enjoying this for real? As I say, it's the best one I ever saw was, I feel like I got a news notification or maybe a tweet or something like this, back when I was still on there, that said on April 1st, right? It was a headline that was world enjoys pranks on International Day of Mischief, and nothing could be less fun and interesting and engaging, which of course is the point of April Fool's Day. Is it's surprising, you don't see it coming, you're looking forward to it, but you don't want to get too hyped out of it, because you don't want to take the magic out of the day by oversaturating it or over focusing on it. And when you see a headline that's have fun today, it's April 1st, you bet I'm not going to have fun. And when you see a thing that says go outside and enjoy something that's in the orange to pumpkin range, why would I enjoy that? But then it's inescapable, because it's all that memes are. And if I go outside, that is actually what they're doing. The memes are right. So I can't escape it. So maybe I should do it, but no, I don't want to do it. And I think the memes need to stop taking other apps' jobs. There's all these apps on my phone, all these possibilities, right? All these glittering gems of opportunity on the internet, and they have all just been swept aside by the mammoth weight of the memeverse, the meme calendar telling me what's happening throughout the year and when I am, the meme news cycle, like making fun of something before it's even an official news story, and then the BBC's trying to catch up with it, and then it doesn't. So I just don't open any news apps. I'm just looking at Instagram, and then I'm not even, it's just taken over completely, and it's just so boring and unoriginal. It's like, why did we all start to leave Facebook? Because it got the things that we enjoyed it for just ended, and it just became this like cesspool of just utter rubbish. And now I feel like the stuff that is on Instagram, on Reddit, the stuff that I used to enjoy, the stuff that used to be funny, is now getting to that like just drudgery state. Like you might as well just start deep frying this stuff and putting minions on it and just making it statements about whatever, because I feel like that's where certainly my meme sources have got to, and therefore I'm just wildly accusing the entire memosphere of having dried up and becoming so awful. Like I say, just put a bloody minion on it. Tell me that I should be stepping on a crunchy leaf, and call it a day, and then we'll just keep going forward from there. So it makes me want to take those apps off my phone, and it makes me want to move away from that, because I would like to not feel like time is incredibly compressed, and I would like to not feel like, oh, next stop Christmas, oh, next stop New Year's, oh, next stop Valentine's, and that each of these things be so oversaturated and overplayed out that I don't want Christmas, and I don't want New Year's, and I don't want Valentine's. What a strange situation to have ended up in, that we're so focused on it and so obsessed by it, and so unable to talk about anything else or anything original about it, that it becomes uninteresting, unengaging, and uninspiring and unappealing. And that's what I think the problem is.